Hey everybody, I'm Boogaloo Shrimp, who played Turbo from the movie Breaking and Electric Boogaloo. Glad to be here with Taboo on Comic and Kicks.
Hola amigos, what's up everybody? Welcome to another beautiful edition of Taboo's Comics and Kicks. Okay, there's a lot of people in this world that I consider icons and mentors and inspirational. From Michael Jordan to Kobe Bryant to Bruce Lee, my grandmother, who was the matriarch of my tribe. But this man, who's my guest today, was born in Wilmington, California, but I always feel like he's from East Los. He always represents East Los. This dude is like raza, without even like, you know, if you close your eyes and you listen to him talk and the love that he has for cultura and raza, he's an ambassador when it comes to love and appreciation for Los Angeles, his contribution to the dance world, as in my eyes, he's the Michael Jordan of dance. For my generation and a lot of our generation, dancers from Usher to Chris Brown. He's taught the great Michael Jackson. He set the tone for my love for the art form of popping, locking, ticking, footwork, freestyle. When I first saw Beat Street, I saw Rocksteady Crew and I saw Crazy Legs, who was a Taino Puerto Rican kid. But when I saw my guest in his film, I said to myself, as a dancer, movie's called Breaking, but I saw a lot of upstairs. Didn't really see a lot of breaking. I saw a couple moments of breaking, but this man transcended the word breaking. He put all of us as dancers on the map. He set the tone for the love and appreciation for community. The man that I'm talking about is an iconic figure. Ladies and gentlemen, make some noise for Michael Chambers, a.k.a. Boogaloo Shrimp!
Hello, everybody. Hello. Thank you, Tab. Thank you for having me. I want to interject something back to the gente. I was brought up with kids from Michoacan, Tecas, Jalisco. You know, I mean, back then, it didn't matter if they didn't speak English because I wanted to make friends. So my dad said, you know what? You go out there and you just adapt. You eat their food and you make friends the best you can. And so I was like, okay. I was like literally the only negrito in the radius of a whole bunch of Latinos from Mexico in the Estados Unidos.
Yeah.
And they looked at me, okay, you know, just like animals, they got to discover each other, you know, different species. They're like, okay, we know he has an afro and he's this and this. And some people, they que me miras. I nothing.
¿Qué ondas, güey?
Hey, what's up? What are you doing? You know, and so, ¿qué tal? Yeah, man. So eventually we broke bread by playing canicas, marbles.
Yeah, that's dope.
The pelotas, they call me Pele. I was a soccer player. Then we need another player. I had afro, they call me Pele. Yeah. So, you know, we're like I was like the black and the Latino Little Rascals.
You remind me of Will.i.am in the sense of like Will grew up with that same you know, upbringing. He was the only black family in Estrada courts. Grew up, you know, playing baseball, and he was always Dusty Baker. Everybody was Fernando Valenzuela. Like, hey, Willie, you're Dusty Baker, Holmes. And they're like, all right, I'm Dusty Baker. Yeah. But the love for cultura and raza has always been intrinsic to the people that I've been surrounded by. So having a brother like Will.i.am grow up in the projects of Boyle Heights and represent for East LA, and now having you as my brother as well. Let's start with that journey of like going from Wilmington. Were you fascinated by dancing? Were you into quebraditas or rancheras? What was your inspiration?
It was a survival thing because you talk about the gente, now you had the Bloods, the Crips, and you had really serious Chicanos. And so, you know, when you're a kid navigating for your social, you know, your social status, you have a choice. You could hang with the people who are all firme or they're veteranos, or you could be like, okay, I'm going to be a mama's boy.
Right.
You know, I'm a lover, not a fighter, right? So for me, there was a lot of cuetes, a lot of fileros, and we heard the ghetto bird. And so, you know, I realized very quickly I didn't want to be with the bad people because if they were bad, they were kind of pull you into something that you don't want to get into. So, of course, I was trying to navigate, but thank God that the movie Saturday Night Fever came out because I was in elementary school and John Travolta, hey, Brooklyn Boogie. Yeah. Everybody wanted to be John Travolta. I'm like, hey, I'm not Italian, but I could be a Moor. Hey. You know, everybody was dancing, and I'm dancing like this Italian guy, you know, Tony Manero in Saturday Night Fever. But I didn't realize going out on the schoolyard, if you're moving and dancing, white girls, chinitos, everybody's looking at you like, what?
Yep.
Oh, wow. He's not
Facts.
just black. He's a cool guy.
Facts.
I got addicted to being a social accepted dancer.
Mhm.
Even if it was mimicking John Travolta. And I was like, okay,
How old were you?
probably, well, elementary school, I would say maybe 6 or 7.
Mhm.
By the time I got out of elementary school, my thing was, if I dance, they're not gonna think I'm from a barrio or I'm gonna hurt you. That I'm a nice shade of brown.
Yeah.
So now all my Mexicano friends were like, "Hey, baile, baile." So they're like, "Come to my banda or come to my families get together." So
Quinceañeras.
they were at quinceañeras or if their tío came from Mexico with a mezcal or Select TV and on, they're like, "Hey, voy a entrar a mi casita, but don't take nothing because my tío will get you."
Of course.
They're going to get you.
So you really grew up Mexican.
Hey, man, I grew up Blaxican. Because everybody was from Michoacan, Jalisco, Tecas.
Because if I close my eyes right now, I'm listening to a Mexican talk.
That's how Willie is.
What's crazy is I was the only black kid allowed in those families. And then as I started growing up, and getting like in my teenage years, that's when I started realizing that the vaqueros, the guys that actually were the shot callers of the family, the worker men, they were like, "Hey, no miras my daughter or my hijos, you know, vas a ver la lingüistas, watch how you talk." And so I learned the line of scrimmage with respect.
Of course.
Respectar es todo for your life. So this is before breaking and all that stuff. So while I was doing John Travolta, the robot came out. Right around disco, people forget Shields and Darnell on the robot. So I was fascinated with just the dime stop robot, Granny and the Robotrons, being able to look animatronic and stop and have the detail. I had perfected it so good. By the time 9th grade came, people were like, "Oh my God, this guy looks like an animated toy."
Yeah.
But that was the beginning of my liquid animation. I could bob, I could move, I could stop on a dime. But I practiced so much that I realized, okay, now in 7th grade.
Can you say that again?
Sure.
Say what you just said right now.
I practiced so much.
Practice. Go ahead.
It's just like baseball. You practice, you hit the home run. Martial arts, you practice, you win a belt. Well, at my journey being a master of my own style, I had to practice. I practiced on so much detail. People would have thought, "Man, it's boring. You're doing the same thing." What I was doing, if I practiced my waves, I would slow them down and I would do my fingers or I would animate them. I would do like 30-second notes. Grr, grr, while people were just hitting, pow, pow, pow. I was going,
so even when he's doing right there, it's like
I was doing 30-second notes.
Yeah.
When I got into 30-second notes, it was the beginning of animation.
Yep.
Because people were like, "Wait a minute." They're going pop, pop, pop. I'm going da 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 da. Oh, yeah.
Right.
No, I started going 30-second notes. Then I started slowing it down with the waving. Beginning of liquid animation. I didn't have a title, but for anybody that sees like Breaking and Entering with Egyptian Lover, when I did the solo on Radiotron, the cameraman, there was no CGI. They had to show it in editing 3 times. When I'm doing my animation.
And you go all the way to the...
Because
that outfit was dope, by the way. The red and black outfit,
It was an optical illusion, for the camera. So when I saw the response of what my style was getting, I would go back into you being an artist, you go into your creative bubble where it's just you and your music. It was me and my movement. When I was practicing, I was always trying to go to the next level. Everybody was looking at the guy in the cardboard or Boogie Down Bronx. I was like, okay, I need to elevate my mind somewhere. And that's what got me into special effects. When I seen like Transformers or robots morphing, I was like, there it is. So if I'm dancing, you're not seeing me. I'm projecting, I'm morphing or I'm transforming. That's a little more cerebral than just 5, 6, 7, 8, right?
Yeah.
You mentioned something about b-boying. This was a conscious decision on my part while everybody was starting to embark on the hip hop elements. We said 1983. 1983, you had Wild Style.
Yep.
You had Flashdance, Mr. Freeze, Rocksteady, Much Respect, Normski. Everybody was getting into the arts of the hip hop elements. when we got the part in the movie Breaking, I consciously stepped back and went, wait a minute. The playing field was this. Shabadoo, the late Adolfo
Rest
Quinones,
in peace.
was from the original Lockers from Soul Train.
Mhm.
With Rerun, Popping Taco was a student of the Electric Boogaloo, Popping Pete, Boogaloo
Poppin'
Sam.
Pete, yep.
So I was like, okay, here I am, a little junior coming up. What can I do on screen that makes me look different than them? And I tell you what, I said, wow, nobody cares about breakdancing. In between the takes, I was practicing with real B-boys from New York.
Yeah.
I practiced with Mr. Freeze. I practiced and practiced. So the little bit of breakdancing that you would see, I wanted to give respect to the
Of
East
course.
Coast and to the hip hop elements, because even New York, the Boogie Down Bronx, they do a little bit of electric boogie, but they do the dale huevo,
Of course.
azúcar, dale huevo. You know, it's like they got Boricua thing going.
Yeah, the
you know?
top rock going into the power
Yes.
moves and the groundwork was always influential
Yes.
to understanding, like, you know, there's levels, especially when you're in the East Coast where hip hop started in the Boogie Down Bronx.
Yeah.
You have the B-boy element, which was so crucial to you know, the power moves, right?
Boom.
But the way you would set up the power move, it wasn't that intricate. And no diss to that. It was like, you know, top rock, boom, boom, boom. Then I go into my move, and then you're killing him on the ground, right? But what was happening in the West Coast, you had a lot of gangsters that were popping. Remember, like the Crips would be popping, and there was just this vibe, this energy of popping upstairs. And you would see some people on the ground, cardboards, because I remember breaking out the cardboard.
Yes.
But ultimately learning how to take inspiration from the East Coast and appreciating where it comes from,
Yes.
but how it evolves in the West Coast. Just like music, when you had freaking Rakim
Yes.
and Eric B and Big Daddy Kane and you know, Furious Five and all these cats from the
Yes.
East Coast. But then you got NWA and Egyptian
Yes.
Lover and Arabian Prince and
Wow.
all these different influences. So usually what I do is I go into my bag of tricks, this bag right here, before we go into your journey with the movie.
Yeah. No.
And I'm going to pull out some items.
Yes.
And I want you to describe what these items
Dale.
mean to you or what they represent, if there's a nostalgia or a story that comes along with these
Let's do
items.
it.
Okay?
Like they say in Miami, dale.
First item I'm pulling out
Crazy.
is an old school item.
Uh-oh.
Stretch Armstrong.
Oh.
Remember this?
Yes.
Do you remember
Wow.
these? It's another version of Stretch Armstrong,
No.
but it came out back in the day.
But you know what I remember with these things? Every dancer was trying to look for some inspiration to take their moves to the next level. So the arm wave, when Plastic Man came out,
Yep.
the thing is, people wanted to be an alien or stretch. And so, you know, I think something like this would have been in somebody's probably toy arsenal that their mom and dad had. And they were thinking of, okay, Friday or Saturday, I got to beat this guy in a battle. What am I going to do? I'm going to stretch.
Right.
You know, so
Yeah.
it's like,
Yeah.
they would inspire a move.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, some people would elongate their heads or their arms, but they would get inspiration from a toy.
Mm.
Wow.
So I like the Stretch Armstrong metaphor to dance. So you talked about robots,
Yes, robático.
Transformers. What does that do for you?
Oh,
With the Ghetto Blaster,
oh.
Soundwave.
And it's Chester Lincoln Park.
Yeah. Rest in peace.
Oh my God. Wow. This was a limited edition?
Yes, sir.
Oh man. You
Yeah.
got that overseas?
No, I got that from Comic-Con.
Oh, babe, that's Lincoln Park. Chester.
But what does this mean to you when you think of Transformers and you were talking
Okay.
about robotic
So look,
movements?
This is very important. In the 80s, Breakin and Electric Boogaloo, but when Lincoln Park came out and Fred Durst, one of the best things that I thought happened, finally somebody brought old school popping Soul Train into a new generation.
Mhm.
Like, I mean, if you like rolling Fred Durst, if you look at Lincoln Park and their beats, one thing, I
Mhm.
don't know what.
Yeah.
When you see their hip hop backdrop beat with this kind of thing, it kind of let me let me know, okay, these little skater kids, a little Tony Hawk generation, now they're being exposed to graffiti elements
Yep.
and hip hop without it just being blatantly on a streetcar or somewhere in the L's, but now it's in rock and roll. You know, it's like for this to actually come out, you know, with this kind of toy, it's actually Linkin Park saying, look, we're giving respect to the robots,
Of course.
but also to the hip hop elements.
Yes, sir.
And that's what you're all about.
Yeah.
The true hip hop elements, you know?
Yeah. So this boombox.
That's heavy. That's deep.
This boombox represents also a moment in time that inspired me on so many levels. So the next thing I'm going to show you is a Super 7 paying homage to you, to Shabadoo, and to Special K.
Yeah.
This is one of my favorite pieces.
Yeah. Oh.
This is one of my favorite pieces, by the way.
That's from Breakin.
Yep.
Well, yeah.
I've never seen that. That's
when
dope.
this came out, Shabadoo was still alive.
Yes. Rest in peace.
Bruno was trying to find out how he could get a hold of the people.
Mm-hmm.
So what was really interesting, the second series, they did a homage. They did a silhouette, a tribute to him. The favorite thing about this, some people get a star on Hollywood Boulevard.
Mm-hmm.
Some people get an award. For us to actually be in characters, that's like us being validated in hip hop.
No doubt.
We're the second case was a boombox case, but for us to actually be in that lineup of Super 7 toys, I didn't need to start on Hollywood Boulevard because I knew for my grandkids, for my familia, they would know, okay, you know, I made a difference. But if you look, I got a windbreaker on.
Yeah.
That shows respect to the East Coast, the Boricuas, Rocksteady, Rock Creek Park, the Puerto Ricanos who pay dues to elevate the hip hop dance. It's like, hey, those were my hermanas and hermanos in New York.
Yep.
While we were hitting the guys in LA, you said something interesting about the Crips and the gang members popping. A lot of gang members were passing time because they were posted up. They were passing the time with their 8-track,
Exactly.
popping because they didn't want to catch a case.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of them said, hey, you know what? I got more into dancing than, you know, getting into trouble.
Exactly.
But the kids in New York, like the Boricuas, Dynamic Rockers, New York City Breaker, Tony Powerful Pecs, they'll sit there and tell me, look, this is all I had. All I had was my art and my dreams of being an estrella somewhere. That inspired the broom dance.
Mm-hmm.
If you really look at my scene, Turbo, I'm not dancing for nobody. It's a fantasy. Ozone goes, why don't you go and sweep? I'm out there with my boombox with no supervisor, no stage, but it's a fantasy scene. That's why it looks like the broom is floating. It was Turbo's fantasy of maybe one day I could just, me and my shadow, just be somebody instead of just on the calle sweeping. That's what made the movie. That's what made my scene.
Yeah.
Turbo went out there. He wasn't dancing for pesetas or you know, over there on the beach, you know, can I get $1? Want to help a brother out? Ayúdame, right? Small black business, help me out.
He was living his fantasy as like, yo, I'm gonna go from being this kid working at this grocery store to one day being on the big stage.
I would have been in a taqueria, whatever, selling camarón.
Do any dancers have a star on the Walk of Fame? Like
not yet, not that I not. Let me interject something. Martha Graham, you know, all the jazz dancers, Fred Astaire, they got stars, but I don't really think hip hop had graduated until giving stars, until like Tupac got a star, Eazy-E got one, Ice-T just got one,
Dr. Dre,
Snoop,
what's his name? Busta Rhymes just got one. I think people, this new generation, they were like starting to get Kickstarters and raise funds to help their hip hop idols or their pioneers. So for me, when you said dancer, the only person that I know that came close, Shabadoo. He got a street sign in Chicago. He's from Chi-Town. He's Boricua from Chicago, but people were trying to get myself and Bruno, since we're from LA, a star, even if it's by Melrose where I did the thing, just to inspire the kids from, you know, the Taggers or whoever had.
Has the committee talked about maybe doing it?
I haven't heard anything, but that
would you guys have one, Tim?
We were supposed to do it last year, but scheduling was kind of whack. So hopefully,
once you get nominated, then you got to pay for it.
You got to pay for it.
You got to pay for the whole thing, and you know, so.
Yo, speaking about the broom scene, I just want to play a little something.
I would do a respiratory commercial for Seed of Sinai. Work it. See, ahí está, mira.
This man, when this thing came on and he just started gliding and just going into...
What does it make you want to do right now?
It's funny. Float.
Float. I want to float.
And the strings.
Man,
it's interesting that he said that because the Olympics was in Paris, France.
Mm-hmm.
People forget the mime, Marcel Martial, lyrical dance with storytelling. That was a form of popping. That was beginning storytelling and popping when he's walking in place. He's got the top hat, Marcel Martial.
Yeah, of course.
From France. And so the thing is, if you look at the beginning of Breaking, I'm wearing a top hat, my little
That's
derby.
right. Yeah.
And that was a homage to him and Charlie Chaplin. Charlie Chaplin did storytelling. So what I'm getting at is this. That Tour de France was apropos and it was before its time because they could have picked any song for me to dance to. But when they had that European song, they said, man, if this guy can dance to this, it's giving respect to France, but also that group Kraftwerk was from Deutschland. Yeah. They're from Germany, Frankfurt. That is. And the thing is, the Kraftwerk beginning songs like Trans Euro Express or Numbers Uno, a lot of the old school Soul Train people used to do the robot too. Trans Euro Express. Something about that group that had a timeline with popping.
Yeah.
Like poppers interpreted the instrumental beats, Art of Noise, Kraftwerk. So when I hear that, it really kind of reminds me of how I had worked to master my style good enough to do my own choreography to that song. No, without that song, the same dancing wouldn't look the same.
Well, I love that you said it in an interview where you said they just let the cameras roll, and I wasn't premeditated to do any.
They had to
choreography because then I would have been in my head thinking about, So that's why it's beautiful that it came out natural. It was a freestyle moment. It was improvised.
You know who initiated that? Let's give respect to West Side Story. The West Side Story musical, Puerto Rico guy, Jaime Rogers, the little Puerto Rican guy in there was the choreographer for the movie Breaking. He told the Israeli company, this guy is a dancer, not an actor. Put the music on, don't interrupt him, just let him rip and do editing. The best thing he could have told him, he said, you know what, just roll the cameras and do what you have. It wasn't a 3-camera setup, but they were so fascinated with what I was doing. The worst thing has happened, they did close-ups. They were going in instead of a wide shot. You lost a lot of stuff because they were like looking at my leg, whatever, but they were shocked because they have never seen anything like this. But I got to give it to Jaime Rogers from West Side Story because he was trying to tell everybody, when you have dancers that are doing improv, they're in the moment. Don't stop them, put them in and let them just go.
Yeah.
That's where MJ became a beast.
Yep.
Michael Jackson, without his brothers, when he was working his music, you could see him when he's closing his eye and feeling his beat. When that guy went on stage, a lot of that stuff was improv. Yep. He was just freestyle. If I could say what Michael Jackson learned from myself and Bruno was to become a freestyle dancer. Because 5, 6, 7, 8, all Vince Patterson, all the choreographers taught him dance stuff, but nobody taught him how to do a solo.
Yeah.
So the thing is, when he seen us just freestyle him, you could see he became a freestyle.
He did.
He started getting, how you got to get pumped.
Yeah, of course.
Start turning it up. Boom. When the song came out, he was doing freestyle. Yeah. His version of freestyle was mixing popping with jazz. See, people don't get that. He was always a jazz artist, but he was going, boom. He was popping he was using popping techniques with jazz. It's brilliant.
Yeah, it is brilliant. So speaking about that, because you just mentioned Marcel.
Yeah.
Give me your 5 influences when it comes to dancing, not hip hop dancers, but dancing like Bob Fosse. I know MJ was keen on Bob Fosse and Gene Kelly, Fred Astaire. Give me your 5.
I would say for me, when I realized I needed to elevate my style to the next level, I would say Giant Robot. It was a Japanese sci-fi.
Yep.
If you look at Giant Robot, Johnny Sacco, when he's in that hangar and they go, Giant Robot, he goes, each arm, mush. He's roboting, even though it was kind of like basic back then, it influenced me to realize, okay, I got to do my arms, I got to do my legs. I would say Poppin' Taco, Bruno Falcon.
Bruno.
Because here's a guy, and I'm going to go there because it doesn't seem like he's getting too much from the new generation of dancers of what he contributed to dance. This is a Mexicano from Texas who moved to Long Beach, found himself around a lot of blacks who dance on Soul Train and wanted to be accepted. He learned, he watched. And when they said, what are you going to do? He had that smile. What am I going to like the Joker?
Exactly.
He took their moves and he moved and he started mixing. They were doing one style, but he started mixing all of the group member style in one. This guy was, Bruno Falcon's legacy was adding fusion, bopping, robot, ticking, animation, all into one. So whoever went up against Bruno, now he was looking at what you didn't do. You're looking at like martial arts. A lot of champions look at what the other person doesn't do and beat someone.
Of course.
So as a dancer, Bruno will be looking at you and going, no footwork, got you, glide on you. He's not going to the groundwork. So for me, I give him the highest credit of helping me step up my game because I had never met anybody who could mix waving and hitting and bopping and boogaloo all in one.
I mean,
that's a master.
That duo, Poppin' Pete and Poppin' Taco, when they did Another Part of Me with MJ, like that was, I mean, it was futuristic, but it was so dope because you saw, anytime you went to Captain EO, you saw it. You saw hip hop represented at Disneyland.
I'm glad that you brought that up because people don't think about this. Michael Jackson did Captain EO, but he hired poppers to play the robots.
Exactly.
So when they have these reunions, they should have a reunion of the robot, the dancers from Captain EO. So the young kids could see, okay, look, maybe that's all I do is robot, but look where look at where the robot got them in a Disney attraction. And so for me, when Bruno was allowed to be in a Disney production of Captain EO, I knew, okay, this wonderful Latino Tejano man from Texas who moved to Long Beach, who's my brother from a different mother, I knew that this guy's level of dance was at such a grandmaster status that it allowed him in doors that were normally closed for the average club dancer or the rave guy or mashup guy. This guy, he was walking into productions, they're like, he's hired. Only because his dojo in Long Beach, California was his mom's garage.
Yep.
I never knew a time when we called Bruce, he's practicing. He was practicing without a mirror. You know what he was doing? Looking at his shadow.
Wow.
He would use the sun to do his shadow and he would perfect his king tuts. And then he would be outside to get air because there were no fans. So this guy was all sweaty or whatever, but he had been practicing to work his cardio. But it was almost like he was preparing for a battle that never happened. This guy was always, they're like, dude, you're good. He's like, no, I want more. He was always trying to top himself.
Right.
I've never met anybody like that.
I mean,
that's a lot of practice.
Honestly, bro, like when he's talking, I'm seeing my brother as Michael Jordan, like I said earlier, and I'm seeing Bruno as probably like Kobe, how Kobe was the second heir to, in my eyes, to MJ. It was MJ and Kobe were like this, right? The competitive spirit of like to
1A,
like
1B.
Yeah, it's like no one can ever diminish what Kobe did in the NBA after Michael Jordan, right? And I think Boogaloo Shrimp, his leadership and his contribution to dance has always been 1A and Bruno's 2A in my mind, because I love Bruno too, but seeing you as a champion of community and how you give him flowers, like it's so amicable because you have such a big heart. You know, you never allow your talent and your gift and your genius to ever just be about you. It's always about we. How can we continue championing Brunos of the world and, you know, all these other dancers? And I think the young generation needs to learn from you as our hero that it is good to share space with people and to celebrate and to honor others as, you know, you would want to be respected. Because
it's almost like your brand, the East LA, the way that you're pushing that, I noticed you have indigenous art with East LA, which is mestizos. It goes back to the history. So for me, when I give Bruno credit, it's for the same kids that never got a chance to meet him that could see his legacy or see students of him,
Yep.
knowing that he was a Latino from the LA surrounding cities, but he was around gangs and he faced adversity. You know, there was drugs. He made the right decision to say, okay, you know what? It's between me and God and my hard-earned record to just push myself and see where this talent was going to take me. And what happens is when we edify the communities and the young people, what happens, they feel they may feel like, oh, well, maybe my mom, my tío, or somebody may not care about my art, my tagging, or my graffiti work. Yeah. But if somebody looks up to any one of us and they say, wow, you know what, they like my work, maybe that'll spark something for them to do with their free time. Yeah. And just start pushing themselves. Starts with self-discipline, we know. Of course. First you discipline yourself before other people discipline you, right?
Well, I think just that's an important part about how we honor and celebrate our pioneers, you know, and I feel like hip hop culture itself has always been a competitive sport, and it's always about like the next man and, you know, people coming for that number one spot. But there's also that knowing how to highlight our heroes and our pioneers, and knowing that before there was a Black Eyed Peas, there's Tribe and De La Soul and Jungle Brothers and Boogie Down Productions that set the tone for us to be able to gravitate to that, you know, that positivity, that conscious hip hop, to be able to bring our twist to it, which, you know, I feel like I always want to honor that. So thank you for being, having humility, first of all, being the person that you are, because I think we need to educate, each one teach one, right? And, you know, I want to tap into, again, Breaking, because Breaking, the movie, was a cultural, the impact that it had on culture was so big that you came back for a second round. Let's talk about the second round, because highlighting Radiotron in the first movie was dope. Radiotron was a jam that was thrown by a brother named Carmelo, who was an amazing advocate for hip hop culture, b-boying, popping, and just the dance scene. And he gave people from, you know, East Los or South Central or Los Angeles a hub that we can go and we can sharpen our swords and, you know, battle and basically earn our stripes, right? And then seeing that you guys went to MacArthur Park in the second one?
7th and Alvarado was where Radiotron was. Yes. And Carmelo, he decided to have a place almost like a hip hop YMCA. Yep. Where everybody, no guns, no drugs, just come and explore art and network. Even Jelly Bean Benitez brought Madonna there. True. So it was unheard of. Right there by MacArthur Park, 7th and Alvarado. People were selling pupusas over there on the other side, and people were the vibe, the energy was like, okay, you know what? Go in there or just be on the outside of this place. Listen to the music, get your phone numbers, keep it moving, make some friends, and then just live your art. And so that was a year-round thing. It's like people would be like, I want to just get away and just let my hair down and be with hip-hop element people. So it was right there.
What year is this? Just so we can
this was some timeline. If I could remember when I was allowed there in Radiotron, I would say 1982. Because
this is like Madonna starting to come out?
1982, 83, Madonna was dating Jelly Bean Benitez. Yeah. And he told her she needed the club sound. So there's actual
But this is early Madonna, right? 82
early
is
Madonna,
early Madonna.
Everybody, you know, the underground crates. Yeah. There's pictures of Madonna actually right there at the DJ booth and Jelly Bean spinning right there at Radiotron.
That's dope.
And once she got that sound from here and then Studio 54, the Funhouse, boom. The rest was history because it was dance music. But what I'm getting at, back to the East Los thing, for me to see Latinos that weren't into gangs or that left gangs and said, okay, I'm not set tripping. I don't care if you're black, whatever, you're my hermano, let's just break bread and dance. I felt a social acceptance with the so-called veteranos or the cool people. I just felt like, wow, you know what? With dance and music, we don't have to fight. We don't have to duke it up. But now I have an extension of a family I never had. Because I had brothers and sisters, but none of them danced like that. So now I have B-boys and Oz Rock, Mr. Freeze. Yeah. I know all these people in the East Coast are like, Boogie Down Bros, yo, hey, get my White Castle. You know, it's like all these really cool people. You know, I was like, wow, you know what? We were allowed by the hip hop elements. the hip hop elements had their own community. And when we got back to LA, even the coolest homeboys in East Los were like, "Orale, aren't you the guy that breaks it down? I like it. I like it." I would go to Lincoln Park by the hospital or go to a Cinco de Mayo car club, and there would be a homeboy all tatted up. He goes, "Hey, that's that guy, your Boogaloo, El Camaron.
Yeah.
Hey, can
That's
you do
dope,
a little?"
dude.
I'd be like, "Whoa,
I
you know
love that.
Hey, I remember one time, I'm happy-go-lucky, and I'm all, "Wow, life is wonderful." And guys go, "Hey, dude, these guys are from Hazard. That's a neighborhood. Or be careful." I'm like, "No problem," because where we film Breaking 2,
Yeah.
you got White Fence and Hazard.
That's
there.
right.
So I mean, they earn their respect. They'll get their respect. So I'm at the park and I'm like, "I'm saying, wait, a negrito in the rain."
So you use humor.
I'm all dancing,
Yeah.
and they're looking at me like, "What is he doing here?" And I'm like, "Whoa, I'm dancing." And it's interesting because their look was like, he must be stuck on stupid, or he's not afraid of us. No. I came La Paz, tranquilo, tranquilo, like tranquilo and La
Yeah.
Paz. How you doing? No, they saw me not clowning, but I saw a change in the way that veteranos perceive me. They're like, "This guy is Cantinflas. He's funny.
Yeah.
You know, he's got respect, but he's making me laugh. And I like this thing that he does." So for me, I never wanted to change giving back to whether people had tattoos or wherever they're from, they had a lowrider car. It's, look, we're family. You're who you are. I'm going to dance. We're going to break bread and enjoy today. How about that?
That's dope.
I had that
Let's get into
mindset.
the original Breakin' though. How did that come together? How did Breakin' come together? How did the film?
What happened was this. When MTV came out, back then people were doing guerrilla videos. Taft Hartley. If you were there on Venice Beach, they'd have you sign away, and boom, you're in the movie, in the video. So
It's not the same year, right? 84?
No. Before Breaking the movie, we got cast in that. I did music videos. I did Lionel Richie's All Night Long. So the thing is, I was building momentum in the business. Taft Hartley did a few commercials, Wild Spots.
Were you signed to an agency?
No,
or?
not yet.
Okay.
So getting back to this question, the answer, once I did Lionel Richie's All Night Long video, they just said, "Look, Lionel Richie don't dance." It's like, just get these kids off Hollywood Boulevard or Venice Beach, throw them in the video. So we're all Negro in the ring. So the thing is, we're dancing. Lionel's Richie's video blew up. All Night Long won American Music Awards, Grammys. His manager, Ken Cragen, said, "Take these guys out on the road now." Next thing I know, they're signing us because while Lionel's doing his thing, we're all dancing for the crowd. It blew up. Once it blew up, agents came to see the show at the University Amphitheater.
Yeah.
I remember a little Jewish guy. His name was Von Hart. There was an agency, SBV, Sudden Barthavanara, off of Belvedere Boulevard. He goes, "Are you represented by anyone?" I go, "No." He goes, "I'd like to represent you if you're interested."
Wow.
My friend's like, "Dude, this guy, like, no, he had like soap opera people. He was like really like a serious guy." I went to his office. I signed. The next thing I know, he had scripts already there. He just didn't have us. There were scripts circulating after the movie Flashdance for Beat Street, Fast Forward, and I think Breaking. We went in there. He said, "Dude, you guys got to go to this audition for Breaking the movie." So Shabadoo and I paired up because we were already on a 9-month world tour. When you're on a tour with somebody for 9 months, you have chemistry.
Of course.
You fart, you make silly noise, you heckle, right? So the thing is, you know, we went in there and we're like, "Yeah, we don't really, I'm not Stanislavski or Streetcar Named Desire, Stella." No, I don't know none of that. They're like, "Okay, let's see what happens." Put them in a scenario. So it was situation. They're like, "Okay, you two are going to show up, see some other rivals. What would you say?" So we were like, "Hey, get out of here. Smack them around." You're like, "Hey, you heifer." They're like, "Oh, our improv got us the job." Because they're like, "This guy's like a black Laurel and Hardy. And the little one's like a black, he's like a Jerry Lewis and
I could see that. Yeah.
and Dean Martin."
It worked.
So now they're like, "Oh,"
Yeah.
they saw the chemistry. Then they said, "Let me see him dance." Boom. One, I didn't audition. They wanted to see us at a battle. You know who I was battling? Cobra from Booyah Tribe.
Oh, wow.
Donald DeVoe from the Cobra.
Big Samoan.
Now look,
Wow.
now look, people that don't know that guy, look at Captain EO with the mask off. Donald DeVoe was in Captain EO.
From the Booyah Tribe.
Before the Booyah Tribe, he was dancing. That was a serious Samoan guy, Uso. And he used to take out people left and right, and I had to dance against him. So that battle, some of the talent scouts saw the battle and they said, "Oh my God, I think we found Turbo. He's dancing circles around the Samoan guy." Because as small as I was, it was like David and Goliath. I'm like, nee.
But I mean, bro, like to be able to be
That's crazy, right? It's true.
He was 16, right?
I was 16 in the movie.
Yeah. But how old were you in real life?
No. That was in
you were
real life.
16.
Yeah, I
Okay.
had just turned 16.
So
I had a guardian. I had to have a guardian.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. So a 16-year-old getting signed to an agency, a kid from neighborhood, had never been worked in Hollywood, and then you get thrown in as a lead.
Yeah, they're like, "No, he's the guy, Turbo." They're like, "What?" They're like, "You got the part."
But Lionel Richie like literally found you guys on Hollywood Boulevard.
Lionel Richie had an audition,
Okay.
and Shabadoo was the choreographer for his video.
Oh, okay. So
When he choreographed the video, he brought us in, and of course, Lionel Richie's not a dancer. So if you look at All Night Long, he's walking down the street and there's just people background. But when they seen what we could do, his manager said, "Take these guys out on the road, dance, let them go and bust moves on All Night Long." Demita Jo Freeman, the choreographer for Lionel's tour, she's the original girl from Soul Train. So she was like, Demita Jo, she's on the books for Soul Train. She's Soul Train alumni.
Yeah.
So she made it like, okay, we're going to have an all night long party. I'm telling you what, when All Night Long came on, they made it like a carnival on stage. It was just like bananas, pyrotechnics, Sheila E. and the congas. Sheila E. was
that's
a conga.
dope. Shout out to Sheila E.
So she's playing congas. She's dating Prince at the time. He had just came out with Little Red Corvette. We used to see him backstage every now and then with his little purple cape giving Sheila roses.
What was it like being there at that time?
You know what?
Right? Like, come on, dude.
He's kind of like glossing over, but I'm like,
when
to
he
be
said
there
14
with Sheila
years old,
E. and Prince and
when he
Lionel
said
Richie.
14 years old, I think I didn't expect. You know how they say you could bite off more than what you could chew?
Yeah.
I danced and I danced and I danced for pesetas at Redondo Beach Pier. People would throw me money or whatever. I'd buy some pizza. But I had no idea what signing that contract meant. Once I signed it, I was like, wait a minute. We're on a private jet. Lionel had a private airplane. Lionel had a private airplane. So now we have a private airplane because he could hit more cities than a big charter.
So the whole tour would run on the private jet?
I don't think the whole tour, but some of it was with the private jet. So for me, when I realized, wait a minute, we got to pack our bags. It was a lot of rushing. Like, hurry up. I couldn't even watch cartoons. Like, I'm not even finished. They're like, leave it. We got to go. It was fast moving because he had to hit in and out, in and out, in and out. We couldn't even go out. I was like, oh, go to your room. So the thing is, I was like, what did I do? I called my mom and said, this is a lot of work because we got it. We only performed one song. Lionel Richie had a long concert set because look at all his hits.
Yeah.
He went from Truly to All Night Long. All Night Long was the last show. The last song of the night. So what it was like was this. Me and Bruno would get up early and we would try to stretch and, we knew he had a job. We would try to go sightseeing in all these new places because the best thing about being on tour is shopping. When you got money, you're like, hey, dude, I got to get some gear.
How much were you making back then?
$800. $800 a week.
A week?
That wasn't bad.
Per diem?
Yes.
Per diem. In the 80s.
Was that per diem or that's what you were making as a salary?
I think that was probably what I was making.
Bro, but you got to understand.
A
Kid
week?
from the
Per diem
neighborhood.
then was probably like $5.
Yeah.
No, I'm 14 years
14
old.
years old, $800 a week to dance?
And you're living for free.
And you're living for free?
And I only came out on one song and it was at the end of the show.
And you're flying private.
So I'm eating, I'm looking at all these people. I'm like, God, this guy's super famous. I didn't even know who he was. I was only 14.
Yeah.
I remember, well, too hot to trot now, baby. I knew those songs, but they're not popping songs.
And he wasn't doing the Commodore stuff?
Well, no. It's interesting you said that because we noticed that later. I'm like, wait, this is not the Lionel I knew from Thank God It's Friday. Well, yeah, it was none of those Commodore songs. He went solo, so it was an all new batch. But back to what it was like, we were just like, wait a minute, let's go shopping. And who are all these people? What is that line for? Because the concert people would line up. We're like, wait a minute. And Bruno like, who is this guy?
Yeah.
And when we get there, just before the sound check, we look at listening to Sheila E. playing the congas and Greg filling games on the keyboards, Randy Stern, all these really serious people.
Yeah.
Then when the concert started, just before the lights went out, me and Bruno were like, hey, do you see who's in the front row? Stevie Nicks, Linda Carter. Lionel had a lot of celebrities. So we were like, oh, snap, this guy's super important.
Mm-hmm.
Now it was like, okay, I got a really dignified job. We got to be on point.
Mm-hmm.
Now there was a certain, not ego, but I felt like, okay, I have an important job. He's famous, but he hired me to do one job and I'm going to do it and I'm going to act a certain way. So there was a whole grooming thing.
Mm-hmm.
I learned etiquette. I learned how to present myself. Hi, yes, ma'am, no, ma'am. There was a whole world for a 14-year-old.
Yeah.
So I tell you what.
What was your favorite moment from the tour?
Michael Jackson.
What?
Tell us the story.
Yeah,
So
I
look,
want to hear that story.
So
And this
look,
is what year? 84 still?
before Lionel's tour.
What year is this? So with the fans and the
The
audience know.
1983 was when we were literally on the tour.
Okay, 83.
Before we were on the tour, we were dancing on Hollywood Boulevard and we were going at it. Me and some guy, I forget, Royal Flush, somebody, we were dancing and it was a big crowd on Hollywood Boulevard. And then you know how the news car comes. Channel 7, Paul Moyer. Paul Moyer gets out of news crews. Like, he starts filming. He's like, hey, everybody's like, whoa, it's Channel 7 News. Paul Moyer, there's something going on in the street. He used to go live to see what the latest thing was. And so he gave us all a business card and said, look, whatever's going on here, come back next week and we're going to do this. Bring everybody. So he passed all his cards. So he did a street dance segment, INLA. When we were featured on that segment, somebody on the gaffer, on the crew, on one of the grips knew the Jacksons. So the lady, I think her name was Susan Scanlon.
Mm-hmm.
They said, look, you're going to be going to the Jacksons' home. Do not bring any cameras. We have to make sure that you're available to go. We're like, shh. Okay. Me and Bruno were like, okay. Next thing I know, the lady picked us up. We're going to Encino, California, Havenhurst. We get to the big, gigantic gate, and we're like, me and Bruno never seen any luxury like
What was
this.
it, the CBS studios?
No. This was at the Jackson's house.
Oh, okay.
They got us straight off the street. So we're driving up there. They drove us to the door. Once the gate opened, security guard checked the car, cleared it, told us to go stay in the car until we're escorted. We're in the car, and I told Bruno, look who was, and we saw Marlon, Randy, and Jackie. They were getting ready for the Victory Tour.
Oh,
So then I go, oh God, I know exactly who this is. Bruno goes, do you think it is him? I go, I think so. We get in, we get out of the car. They take us through the kitchen and Catherine's cooking where hi, Miss Jackson. They go, that's Miss Jackson? I had never seen her. We're like, hi, Miss Jackson. She goes, go in there. He's over there. Oh, so now my heart's beating. I'm like, oh no. So we go through they had a little rehearsal hall right behind the kitchen. There he is. He says, hello. I'm like, oh my God. He's like, don't be afraid. It's okay. So Joe, Marlon, and Latoya, they were all watching. He's all, these are the people we found. And boom, me and Bruno, I could see Bruno's like, we're like, oh God, now what's gonna happen? He's like, just do your thing, and boom. That was that day made history. My solo was animation. So obviously you see that in Michael, but Bruno was straight. I think at that time, all Bruno really did was like Boogaloo. He did like the stuff that you see in Captain EO. He was doing that kind of stuff. And Michael and Joe were talking, and you could just see their eyes like, oh, yeah, there was a lot of
They're talking through their eyes.
You know,
Yeah.
people.
Yep.
You ever see Qbert?
Yeah.
It was a lot of
Facial expressions.
facial expression.
Jim Carrey.
Back then, if you said something, you were liable.
Yeah. Exactly. The Grinch.
What was I?
Yeah.
So look, next thing I know, one day Bruno said, I'm going to MJ's house. Okay. He goes, but you can't come. We're doing something. So then one day I wasn't at the house. They're like, you got to go to Hollywood Center Studios. I'm like, he's waiting over there. I'm like, okay, but they didn't tell me what it was. You don't tell a 14-year-old kid everything. He's going to blast everything. They were very private. So they go, they told
And
me.
there wasn't any social media back then. But,
Exactly,
yeah.
but your mouth could get you in trouble.
Yeah, of course.
So they're like, you're over here in Santa Monica. I'm like, Hollywood Center Studios? They're like, yeah, go over there. He's over there. There he is. I'm like, oh no, what are we going to do? Put the camera on. He goes, okay, show me what you were doing with your feet. What was this thing with something in a circle? I'm like, oh. And I started gliding and doing my float. He goes, that's it. I go, that's what you want to learn? He goes, yes. Just slow down because I was real hyper.
Yeah.
Especially on sugar. There was no
You
red.
weren't hyper.
There was no
way.
red. I was
Not
like,
you.
Not Boogaloo
start
Shrimp.
spreading. Start
Not you.
spreading the news. Hey.
We don't see it.
I still had Travolta. Hey.
So he started gliding.
So he goes, that thing around the circle. So I start gliding. And he thought, yeah, do it again, please. Just one more time. I'm like, I got bored. But that's how you learn repetition.
Mm-hmm.
I was going over and over and over and over and over and over until my feet were getting hurt. I go, can I show you something else? He goes, what? I go, okay, hot. Because I got bored. Just like, I want to do something else. So there was no music. We danced a cappella.
Mm-hmm.
There was no music. We danced a cappella. And he was going, he was notorious for making sounds.
Mm-hmm.
He had like a beatbox thing from all the studio stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So we're doing, I go, there's this thing that I do. He's what? I go, because remember the robotic, I'll make sound, bow, bow, bow. You could see him going, like he didn't understand where it was coming from.
Mm-hmm.
Like he was, you know, you look awkward doing something. He could not understand where the pop. That's why when you see him in 1983, he's not popping. He's not popping. He's just doing the footwork because he couldn't understand it. But look, it gets better. When you see him in 1991 on Dangerous, you see him trying. You see that, what I'm telling you. He looks really stiff, huh? Like he's trying to find it. Like, where does the pop come from? How do you, and I never got a chance to explain that to him, but that's a heavy story because right around that time when we did the INLA thing, we had that session, which was a precursor to the Victory Tour, but got better. They did the Victory Tour. I was on tour. I was on tour with Lionel Richie. I got the job with Lionel Richie, with Shabba-Doo and Bruno for the All Night Long tour. By the end of that tour, we saw Michael backstage in a disguise. And he's doing this because he knows we're hyper, right? That's him. Yeah. You know, you see your friend, you're like, he's like, shut up. I'm like, I felt like Whoopi Goldberg, I'm trying to say and Cooper. So look, we're at the University Amphitheater, me and Bruno going, it's him. I know it's him. Just can't say nothing because, you know. So look, backstage, he's telling us, man, he's giving us a thumbs up like you guys are on point because now we weren't little street punks. Now we're on tour with the guy he's writing We Are the World with. Yep. Got better.
That was 80, now it's 85 now, right? 86?
83 ending in the beginning of 1984. That's when him and Lionel were finishing We Are the World.
Okay.
So 84. We got the film. These were happening all at once, coinciding. We ended Lionel Richie's tour. We got the script while we were on the tour. We literally had to leave the tour because we had to start filming. Once we left and we were on tour, on film, on production with Breaking, Lionel hired breakdancers for the Olympics because he'd already been in the hip hop vibe. Yeah. And Michael and Lionel went on to do We Are the World. So it was an interesting kind of a crossroads that were going off. But it's the most beautiful thing about that time. Lionel's associated with hip hop because he hired us on tour with Sheila E. Sheila E. learned so much in 9 months with us that she got hired for Crush Groove. So she's with rappers with 10 Pound Albie and breakdancing at the end of Crush Groove. So she was kind of hip in her own way. Prince, this is really interesting. Prince had a club called Glam Slam, 3rd and Boylston in LA. One day I went into that club and I think it was Carmen Electra. She said, did you see the new video? What? I think it was Thieves in the Temple. He goes, he's trying to pop, but he learned what he could from whoever was dancing in his club. So if you look at Thieves in the Temple, it's the first time ever Prince ever kind of attempted popping. He's all, love, come quick. It's in the breakdown, kicking me. When they do a breakdown, Prince goes, he goes down to the floor like a robot. Right. He does like a little heartbeat. You see it, right?
It's pretty dope, yeah.
It's crazy,
I remember he did some groundwork. Like, he would do the splits and go into the groundwork.
Yes. So, you know what? That time was fascinating because when I look back at how historic it was, MJ, Prince, Sheila E., Lionel, it made me understand why it was important for us to do Breaking and Breaking 2, because Breaking, like you mentioned, it gave homage to Radiotron, but Breaking 2, they were trying to bring small Broadway theater to East Los. All those kids that were just hanging out at Miracles, they had nothing to do, but they were trying to make it like a theater production. Let's make our own choreography. Some people called it corny, but they were trying to make it street theater.
Mm-hmm.
I find the most hidden gem in Breaking 2 has they did a write-up. Gene Siskel and Roger Ebert, they did a write-up on Breaking 2. The thing that really, really got me really into Sylvester Stallone, the movie where Breaking 2, where Kelly's parents allow us to come and meet them. That was the mansion they filmed Rocky 4 with Ivan Drago.
Yeah.
When Rocky loses Apollo and says, "There's no easy way out. There's no easy way." So I was like, for years telling people, wow, Breaking 2 has a kind of a connection with Rocky, Ivan Drago, because we filmed in the same mansion.
That's great.
Right across the street, Muhammad Ali lived right across the street. There's pictures of him coming on the set. So yeah, that Breaking.
Ali came on the set of Breakin'?
Yes. We were making so much noise. The whole production stopped and went, oh no. He's walking. He was a little sick, but he's walking across the street and everybody's like, oh no. Because they knew the champ lived there, but he doesn't just make an appearance, but he's coming out. And he walks on the set and the director goes, I think you need to get a photo op. So we're just like shocked too. It's like, hey, Ali goes, what y'all doing? And Shabadoo goes, we're making a film. I'm playing Ozone and he's Turbo. And Ali goes, but ain't I the greatest? We're like, yes. No.
That's a good one.
He put up his fist. There's pictures online where Ali putting a fist up. Because even at his sickness, he said, but ain't I the greatest?
Mm-hmm.
And he's giving us the Dukes like, don't you
And
cross
he
me.
wasn't wrong either.
No,
Hey, man, he was the greatest. But
Yep.
I just thought, like you said, how I felt, man, as I was soaking up all that, I was like, wow, we're making history and being allowed in people's lives who are making history. And to see the Step It Up movies, the Olympics, what the Black Eyed Peas did, with bringing the hip hop and tweaking it for the new school kid, the dubstep kid, the mashup. A lot of those skater kids, they didn't know about breaking. They didn't know about the old school, but the way that Tab brought the b-boying realism, and started hanging out with b-boys, I think a lot of the young kids were like, okay, they can make music, but their sound is in tune with the streets. That's the thing.
Always.
I remember when Let's Get It Started came out, you had guys popping because it had old school beat. That was like straight up old school Soul Train Funkified,
I have one more question.
What is it?
Who is your top 5 artists/dancers? They got to be able to sing and dance. So obviously MJ.
You know what?
So look,
nobody's gonna flex on, because I know there was like some stuff when who was saying that? Oh, Dante Bosco, when he talked about Usher.
JT and Usher.
JT. Go ahead.
so dancer/singer.
They got to be able to dance really well and sing really well.
I have to say young Usher, because it seemed like as he got older, I mean, like even fighters, you lose it. Young Usher in 2010 when I met you, Usher was on fire because he could outdance Chris Brown, all of them, when he first started. I would say young Usher, believe it or not, Jordan Knight from New Kids on the Block. I seen him in a concert and I came backstage and said, dude, I didn't know you could. Jordan Knight is a pretty good popper.
He is? I didn't even know that.
You know what? I think he got more into the girls and to the looks, but I seen somebody put him on blast and he used to have a crew. But for him to be a singer popper, I told him, I go, dude, you're pretty good. But he doesn't want that. He doesn't, seems like he doesn't want that attention.
Yeah.
But that was inspiring to see somebody like him popping. I was like, wait a minute, what the heck?
Yeah.
But he doesn't, the girls like Jordan the way he looks. He doesn't have to rely on his popping. I got to give it to Michael because Michael carried the torch for popping when it was not popular anymore. But in the 90s, people were thugging up West Coast. Michael was still popping. And there were certain countries and people, Malaysia, wherever, where he went, he kept popping alive, but then his vocals and his hit songs matched it. So, I definitely put him up there. But James Brown, for his time,
yes, sir,
there was no dancer singing like him.
Yep.
Jackie Wilson could not dance like James Brown, and his music was funk.
Mhm.
Don't.
Yeah.
So yeah, there you go.
That's dope. I love that.
Was that 5 or 4?
I think we got 5.
We got Usher. You got Jordan Knight,
MJ.
Michael Jackson, James Brown.
Would you put Jackie Wilson up there?
You know what? I would put Jackie Wilson up there.
Put Jackie Wilson
ahead of Chris Brown?
Yeah.
Huh?
Ahead of Chris Brown?
Oh yeah, most definitely.
Okay.
The thing I can respect about Chris, when he first came out, when the Step It Up movies and the LXD came out, there weren't a lot of blacks doing what he was doing. They had the K-pop and like the Japanese kids that were doing like breakdancing with popping, but like how you said, top rocking and breakdancing, Chris could do them all. Chris could boogaloo, he could pop, but he could also b-boy.
Yeah. I want to just send a special thank you to Omarion, Chris Brown, Doja Cat, who also is amazing at dance. She comes from the battle scene, which a lot of people don't know.
I didn't know that about her.
Before she became an artist, she was in the battle scene as a popper. There's a lot of us from the dance community that we have to champion each other and show solidarity. So I would say, keep doing your thing. Shout out to all the dancers, whether you're an R&B singer or a pop star that is influenced by the dance scene and are influenced by popping, b-boying, crumping, freestyle. Continue being a student of the game because I'm honored to be a student of this man. On that note, I wanna do another recap with him, another episode, because honestly, we have to do another episode with Boogaloo Shrimp. You know, one of the things that I wanted to say was like the humility and the stories that he has have been so inspiring, and I'm just like listening, but I'm also seeing how much of a beautiful human being you are.
Thank you, Cha.
Your spirit is beautiful. Your leadership and your advocacy for hip hop culture, not just dancing, but everything about it. Like I strive to one day, have that same history that you've had and the stories that you've been able to embark on. I'm on that route too.
Yeah.
It's different because it's like we've seen some great things.
Yes.
We've been around great people, but I know that the most beautiful thing about you is that I'm honored to call you my brother.
Right on.
I'm honored to be able to pick up the phone and be like, yo, Boogaloo, what's up? Yo, I'm doing this podcast. Yo, I'm there, bro. Let me know. Like that, for me, that's dope. That's like a mic drop moment. So I'm going to say this on behalf of myself, B, my producer, Cesar, Mateo. We're honored to have an icon, my Michael Jordan in the dance scene. Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, make some noise for Boogaloo Shrimp.
Gracias. Muchas gracias.
That's right, y'all. It's Taboo Nawasha, and I hope you enjoyed geeking out with me and going straight into geek mode. For more information, for more videos, subscribe, like, and comment. Share it with your friends. Much love. There it is.